My wife's over there making fun of me. Gonna make a video on the principles of fire starting in the outdoors. It's gonna go over everything from gathering, some sticks or whatever to lay down a base for the fire. It was snowing yesterday. It was, 29 degrees. It wasn't super cold, but it was snowing out. So I wanted to kind of demonstrate that you can do the fire when you have inclement weather. But it's gonna be, just the basics of getting a fire started. I'll show you, how to, just gather some birch bark. Birch bark works great here in the Northeast for starting fires. There are plenty of other tinder materials, but we have abundant birch here, so that's what I utilized. And so I'll show you how to gather the birch bark. Use that with like a ferrocerium rod to strike down into the birch bark and get a spark going and get your fire started. We'll utilize a lot of dead, small stuff. This is green. You want to make sure that whatever wood you're utilizing as your initial fire starting is not green. You want to, obviously, it wants to snap and be, dead. It'll really snap when it's dry and ready to go. So you want to get some really small stuff that dries out the quickest. That's why you want to use the small stuff initially. Especially if you're grabbing branches off trees and stuff that's been out there in the rain and the snow. Usually is drier than the stuff on the ground, obviously, but you want to make sure that you grab really small stuff and start small. I can't stress enough how small you want your shavings or your tinder material to be. You just keep piling the twigs on slowly. You gradually want to build it and then build up to bigger items, bigger materials such as medium-sized to large-sized sticks. And then once you get that cold base and get the fire going, you can throw big logs or whatever, trees, whatever you need. If it's 40 below and you need a lot of warmth, once you get the big fire going and you have a big base there, then you can transition to a big fire. But it is kind of an exercise in patience initially. So I've used fire in the outdoors multiple times to dry out my socks and my wife's feet and socks and hands where we've gotten cold, long snowshoes, or been out in some bad weather. It was getting late. I have started fires in the wilderness to help out. So usually I like to have a fire kit with me. I did make a video on a simple fire kit. You can make it home with inexpensive items. You can just buy it at Rite Aid or Walmart. That's where all the stuff in this kit that I show you how to build a fire is from. It's just cheap stuff that I've gotten. You don't need to have a bunch of expensive stuff. I'm not here to talk to you about buying expensive items or being super tactical or anything like that. I'm just a family guy, and I want to share with you some of the things I use in my everyday experience. So hopefully you find something you like, or you're able to learn something from the video. If you do, I'd encourage you to help me out by hitting the like and subscribe button. Help my channel. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. Hope you enjoyed the video. Tom with Cedar Mountain Survival. So you've built your base here, gotten as much snow off of it as you can. I'm just going to try and demonstrate what you do here. So the basic things you're going to need is a dry base here. Showed you how to grab, or I will show you how to grab some birch bark or your tinder material. It doesn't have to be birch bark, but what I like to do is take a bigger piece of some of the bigger pieces of the birch bark and put it down on the bottom. That's going to just kind of help catch your spark from your ferrocerium rod. So then the next stage is you want to prepare as much of the birch bark as you can for the top layer that's going to catch the spark into small little pieces for the spark to catch onto. Just like to try and tear it, make like a little bundle of small pieces of birch or strips of birch. It gives the spark something to catch. If it's just a thick piece of birch, obviously you're not going to have nearly as much surface area for the spark to rest in and catch on. So yeah, this is the first stage of the fire. You want to have some birch bark, some kind of tinder. You can get natural tinder as you're just walking through the woods. If you see some dried grass or like hay that's, a guy showed me the type of grasses you want to get are usually the tubular type. You know, if it's just a flat piece of grass, it's going to hold moisture and it's not going to light as well for you. But yeah, so you can get some grasses. Sometimes the Queen's Anne's lace or some type of flower that's native to the area. It's got dry, you know, fluffy tops on it. You can use that. You want to get the seeds out of that because they tend to light hard. But any kind of dry material that you can utilize works pretty good for tinder. Alright. The snow's let up a little bit, but it's still snowing pretty good out here. I just wanted to demonstrate that you can do this in the snow. Obviously, if you have tarp, even better. I have the tarp over the poncho over the camera over there, so keep the lens kind of clear. But yeah, so you don't need nearly this much, but we're just gonna use as much as you can get, right, to start a fire. So that's kind of your tinder, and then I just noticed there's some dry sticks or twigs. You want to find these sticks or twigs off of trees. There's some trees around here, some fir trees with some really small type twigs. You want to keep those real close to you. But when you get your tinder bundle lit, you're going to want to put some really small twigs or sticks on there to get your fire going. Now, there's some kind of medium-sized sticks here too. As you can see, I'm just snapping these off the tree. It's right next to me, so you can pick an area that has a lot of this dry stuff near you, even better, so you don't have to go collect it. But what you want to do is collect as many of these really small, fine twigs or fir from a tree nearby. Now, sometimes you're not going to be able to find something like that if you're, you know, depends on your region or where you're at, which is why you want to carry a fire kit if you can to utilize the stuff in your kit. Now, you can take sticks like this if you have a knife, a good survival knife or a sharp knife with you, and you can start to shave off down to where the wood's kind of dry. You want to get down to where the wood's dry, and you can make shavings out of a stick like that, which will act like your small stuff or your tinder. You can actually just if your shavings, if you shave it fine enough with a knife, you can actually use that instead of your birch here. But this birch works really well. You'll see here in a minute. What I like to do is just kind of pin the ferrocerium rod kind of in the middle of your bundle here, and then just strike down. Just keep striking until you get a flame. Once you get a flame going, you just want to get as much of that birch bark material on there as you can, and then just start piling your twigs on the flame as much as possible. You want to start very small. You know, to be obviously, if you didn't have this much birch bark or tinder, you're going to be starting a lot smaller than this. So start really small and work big. Okay. As you get the fire burning a little bit hotter, you can start to get some of the bigger stuff in there to dry. But essentially, that's what it's doing, especially if it's out here in the wild. You're starting to dry out a lot of the material. So just keep working some of the bigger stuff in there. Get close to start to dry out. It's the basics, is get that stuff dried out as much as you can. And you just want to look for dried stuff that's in the area around you. It's in here on this tree. You be patient with the fire too. Let your stuff dry out. If you've got a good hot coal base underneath, eventually you can dry just about anything out. But you want to be patient and let the stuff kind of dry. You don't want to put too much on in a hurry. Take your time with it. Be patient with it. See how that's starting to build up as it dries out? That's what you want. Keep adding. We keep finding stuff like that, stuff in that category of wood, medium size. As snow's starting to slack up a little bit, we're just getting a dusting today, but it's kind of an example of what you need to do though. If you're out there in the wild and you need to get a fire going. Obviously, if you had a lighter, it'd be probably that much easier, or matches even. As long as you have a dry match or waterproof matches, it's going to be a lot easier than using your, in my opinion, the Ferrocerium rod. But that works pretty well if you're patient with that. If you have a good tinder bundle, then your chances of success are pretty good. So now, once you get these medium-sized sticks, I call them medium, they're still pretty small, but once you get some of these sticks on here, it affords you an opportunity, if you've got a little bit of a fire going there, you know it's well established, to go collect some bigger stuff. Alright, so in case you weren't able to do that, you just needed to get your hands warm in a hurry, you can get a little fire like this started, and then you want to go get some of your bigger material once you've got it established. So I'm looking around me. I see quite a bit of dead stuff around here that's a little bit bigger. So we're going to move to some of the bigger stuff, get that dried out. You want to get this stuff dried out. So when you move to some of the bigger stuff, you want to get it on the fire, near to the fire. You don't have to get it on there. So you want to put what you got on there out. But you want to get it at least near your fire so that you can start to dry that material out. That's the technique, is to just keep getting it closer to the fire to get it dried out. And you just put it near the fire and it happens to catch, well, even better. But start to get as much material near to that dry heat as you can, because that's what you're going to want to do, is dry your stuff out. I mean, even if it's got some snow on it, if you put it on the outskirts of the fire where you're not going to put your fire out, all that snow will melt away and dry, the wood will dry out. So we're just getting stuff near the fire here to dry it out as much as possible. Continue to put as much as you need to. these smaller type sticks on here, whatever you got for wood. I'll show you how to split wood too for with your survival knife, so that you can baton it down to, from a log, a tree sized piece of wood, you can baton it down to something that's more useful. A lot of people get into the mechanics of the structure of the fire. Honestly, it does matter. You want to pile stuff on kind of in a manner that dries your wood out, but I've found that as long as you can get the wood piled in a fashion or whatever where it starts to dry out and you get a good coal bed, that really any form. I mean, a lot of people like to lay stuff crosswise, make a teepee. You can see my fire started out as kind of a teepee type structure, I guess you could call it. But so you can see now what we're doing is transitioning to some of the bigger wood here. So you just kind of want to be patient with it. Get your wood on there. Get it as dry as you can before you do it. Snow's picking back up again. Little flakes are getting a little bit bigger. I don't know if you can see that with the camera. But if you can look out that way and kind of see what's going on, maybe. I don't know if that shows up in the lens or not, but yep. So as you can see, we got a pretty well established fire going down there. Hopefully my lens is pointing in the right direction. I had to widen the angle. Hopefully the sound's on, but alright, so continuing with some of the smaller stuff here, since I have a bunch of it around. We're going to go look for some bigger wood. But I want to make sure before I leave the fire, before you leave it, my camera's facing the right direction. You want to make sure before you leave the fire that it's going to run long enough for you to stay lit long enough for you to go get some of the bigger stuff. Dry your gloves out. One good thing about the fire, we talked about body temperature regulation, and in order to maintain your body heat, you got wet clothing, wet socks, wet gloves, wet hat, wet undershirt, whatever. You want to at this time start to dry out your equipment, so that it'll keep you nice and warm and dry. So, there's some Christmassy type trees laying around that were dead. Anything that's dead on the ground, maybe it's up out of the snow, is going to work well for keeping your fire going. One thing I do like to carry in my kit is a saw. I'll carry one of those. You can get the little chainsaw type things that go back and forth, or like in a wire. It's a sharp wire with like razor blades on it. You pull it back and forth through the wood, or just a simple little hand saw or something on your Gerber. If you happen to have a multi-tool, will work as well. But yeah, we're just drying out some of the bigger stuff here. put that on. I'm going to get as much of the tree as you possibly can. Like you see, it had a lot of the little branches on it. Well, all those little branches work well for fire. Bang as much of the snow off of it as you can. So you can see with this fire, there's some nice coals down in the fire there. That's useful later on if you need to rekindle your fire. Once you have those coals, that coal base down there, you can lay, even if you don't have a flame, you can lay dry material on it and it'll start to burn. So, you know, you just lay some of your bigger stuff along the side here. It's going to start to dry out. I'll keep the camera rolling. I don't know. I mean, you've got, you know, the basics, the basis for a large campfire here. This is going to give you, you know, warm heat. If you want to go big, you can start to drag some tree-sized branches over here and lay these in here. I've seen a lot of the Alaskan, you know, wild shows where they burn whole trees. You know, if it's 40 below, obviously you want to get as much heat as possible in a situation like that. So it's probably, I don't know, pretty close to the freezing point out here today. Maybe 29 degrees or so. 28, 29. It's on my watch. It's 29. Not very cold, but certainly not favorable conditions given the snow and stuff that you have here. I just wanted to demonstrate, you know, even in the rain, if you can get some sort of a shelter over your fire, you can make it burn. Here you got snow coming right down into the fire, but it's not going to affect it. It gets so hot once it's to this point, it's just going to keep going. I'm going to get this piece here close so it can start to dry out. I'm not going to get too high with the fire because the tarp's right over there underneath the camera, and it's kind of set up. I kind of set up here pretty close to some dead growth I don't want to affect. I want to make sure that I don't burn the forest down, obviously. So you keep it kind of small, but this is plenty big enough to dry out your material. You put a pot on there. If you have a pot, some kind of container to purify and melt some snow, so that you have some water. But this is just teaching the basic principles of getting a fire started. This is one of the videos that I'll show. I'm just going to keep making more, I think, with different tinder type material, so you can see how, with different situations, how to get your fire started. So this has been Tom with Cedar Mountain Survival. Hopefully you found this video useful. I'll keep doing more videos and show you how to collect some more types of tinder and how to start with different fire methods. But that's the basic principle or premise. You start really small and you just want to keep building or growing your fire as you go and drying out some of the material. Got it! There you are!
Oh, look how pretty.
Oh, he is pretty.
You gotta tighten up his collar.
Where's your ball? Go get your ball. Where's your ball, Jimmy? Where is it? Go get your ball. Go get it. Go get it. Get your ball. What are you doing? Where's your ball?
What are you doing?
Kisses from Jamie.
That went right up my sleeve.
Oh! Stop it!
Seriously?
Running away. My dog Goldie. That's Goldie over there. Hi Goldie. She's so cute. Where's Jamie? Jameson's over there. You can't really see him. Jamie! Get over here. Come on. What do you got? Where's your ball? I don't know where your ball is, but that's Jameson.
Stay.
And over here we have, well, it's my wife, beautiful wife Marnie. And
That's what you say.
our pony,
Oh,
mini horse.
Hi.
I call him Pony, but his real name is Ranger. Edit that out now. Why are you awful?
Cody, she's so pretty.
Jamie. What'd you feed him over there? Bird seed? Yeah. He probably doesn't have any hay over there.
I'll go get him some.
Alright, so Tom with Cedar Mountain Survival. Today we're going to do a fire starting video. I'll do it kind of from the base up. We'll do a nice dry base, how to put sticks down to make a dry start to your fire. We'll utilize some tinder that we gather out in the woods, some birch bark, and we'll probably use a ferro rod for this video. I'll probably demonstrate a collection of other tinder materials and different ways to light or start your fire. One of the things I like to do is have a kit with me to start fires, and we'll utilize some of the things I carry in my kit, so I can demonstrate that and how much easier it is if you have that kind of material with you in an emergency, which I can't stress enough. If you're out, you're going to be out in the woods, why not take a lighter or a ferro rod and maybe some tinder type material that you've made at the house. It's just going to make things a lot quicker and safer if you get yourself in an emergency situation. So that's just it. When you leave the house, you put your seatbelt on, 'cause you never know when you'd be in an accident. I think they've done studies where most accidents occur within a certain radius of your house. You just don't know what's going to happen if you're out in the woods. And in my job, I've seen what can happen just a short ways away from your house. If the weather's bad, they're not going to come looking for you because they can't put other people's lives in danger. And the weather does get bad here. I'm going to tell you, here in the Northeast, anywhere in this country. So